Okay, excellent, excellent. You can see and everything's okay?
You'll get better at that one,
Excellent.
Many
thanks.
Got you already.
Well, of course, I am sitting here with none other than the culinary craftsman himself. It is Executive Chef Lachlan Colwill as our special guest. Lachlan, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
Well, do you know what? So I've been really G'd up for this one. Obviously, from last week we were out in the vines, and we've gone obviously into the kitchen / cellar door, so to speak. We've got a roaring fire here behind us. Roaring is the operative word. I'm certainly starting to get a little sweaty around the face, even though it's very cold outside, of course. But we're pumped for this week. Would you say?
Yes.
Very good. So I guess Lachlan, once again, thank you for joining us. Of course, we've got a couple of things I guess that we need to tick off. To also let people know that our episodes are being uploaded to our YouTube channel, so please check those out if you've missed any other episodes as well. But also, before we get kicked off as well, we have a couple of shout outs, and I've got a very official book here. This is very official, it's black, so you know it's always official. Birthdays today, very important birthday. Nick Yardley from Manly, if you are watching over in New South Wales, Manly Beach, happy birthday to you. Robbie Roo, you know who you are, wishing you a very happy birthday. We've got Russell, the love muscle himself, I'm saying it, I've said it, I don't know if I can, but I've said it anyway, happy birthday. And also Jared Timon from our accounts department, he is turning 30 today, huge, so this is it, dirty 30s all the way. So with all of that out of the way, Lachlan, there are many questions here today. You are the resident rock star, of course, here, as most of us know. But tell me, while you've been in isolation, so to speak, obviously you're rocking a little bit of Brad Pitt, World War Z. That's also
correct. Yes.
Oh yes! The whole way. Where has your incredibly creative brain / hairstyle been going, I guess, over the last little while? While you've been in isolation, so to speak.
For those that don't know, I live here at Hentley Farm, so when everything all shut down, as I watched people scramble back to their homes in cities and I watched the world shut down in cities, I thought I'm very lucky to be here on the farm. And I guess whilst in that period it was sort of hard to think what the future was going to be and how do you inspire yourself for coming back to the restaurant, coming back to the fine dining aspect of the restaurant when you sort of don't know what the in-between is in the world. So I walk the property head to toe, sunset and sunrise, and that from an inspiration point of view is probably where it all comes from. It's where it all starts. That's something that I haven't felt confident about saying for a long time. That I reckon inspiration comes more so sometimes in cooking from just walking around and having time to think and breathe and being amongst nature.
It's a beautiful spot here, as most of the people who would know who've been here, of course. And for those of you who've just tuned in, we're with Lachlan Colwill, Executive Chef, who is,
I walk and talk.
You walk and talk. But okay, so I'm going to call it straight away because there's been a couple of rumours, obviously, that have been floating around the farm. And so amongst the staff, amongst people, obviously members, that obviously during this particular time, there is word on the street that there's a Hentley Farm 2.0 coming out, I guess. Are you able to officially, and I'm breaking the rules here I think a little bit by saying this, putting you on the spot, possibly off script, are you able to officially confirm?
We have 30 more minutes of content to go, Nick.
Okay, can we say though by the end of the episode that we'll definitely get a...
By the end of the episode I will definitely give you those answers.
Perfect, this is beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to speak louder because I think that that's important. Projection is important across the room. There's a lot of people out there, Lachlan, you've had a pretty exciting career, I think, and I think the people who know you and have tracked your career will definitely agree. But I guess for people who are tuning in, who I guess maybe want to walk in your footsteps, so to speak, or become the successful chef that you are, how did you start your journey here, I guess, at the farm?
My journey here at the farm?
Yeah. Where did you come from to get here, I suppose?
So I was at the Mance restaurant with the Troom Group in the city. Many people watching from Adelaide would know the Trooms. Troom's clothing store as a grandfather. So I worked at the Mance for some time, and I guess that's where I sort of had my first, where I had my first head chef job, with my partner at the time, who was a pastry chef, who now owns Lost Loaf Bakery in the city. but yeah, I was at the manse and I was cooking away, doing very mancy things. It was a French fine dining restaurant, so that's as a 22 or 3-year-old head chef, that's what I was doing. And the guys from Hentley Farm, Keith, Daryl, Raymond, sort of the board from Hentley Farm, celebrated a birthday at the manse. Maybe left some Hentley Farm wines behind. The chefs and I sneakily necked them out the back on some crates. Didn't think much more of it from that point, and then slowly began a bit of a contact where Hentley Farm started coming into the manse, so we were buying a bit of their wine, and that sort of introduced me. And then I started finding out more through Danny Galanti, who was your previous role.
He was. Danny, if you're watching, hello.
Hi Danny, if you're watching, long time, no doubt. Danny was sort of roping me in and convincing me to do it, and I was in the process of wanting to move to Shanghai and take a job overseas and sort of do that, which all sounded like lights and glamour. And really came out here to the farm. I was just exposing some ankle. That's horrible.
It's very risque. Back in the day, Lachlan.
Came out here to the farm, I guess, to do maybe 1 or 2 events in these rooms for some members because another chef hadn't made it. And that turned into me quickly going, wow, this place is amazing. And I hadn't really seen much of the other side yet, of what actually now for everyone that knows what is actually the restaurant. I hadn't really seen that building, I'd just seen these rooms, and that was kind of enough to give me the vibe. That I think I turned around to Hentley Farm and said, is the job still on the table? The rest, I guess, is history. That was in 2011.
Okay, and the restaurant opened?
May 2012 we opened the restaurant, so we had I stole pretty much, I repurposed the apprentices from the manse. James Zarella and Josh Rawling, Jimmy and Spike. 2 guys came up here with me. We hired a few local girls to do the front of house scene, Lana Elix, who's been with us the whole time.
Yeah, Lana.
And away we went, probably a bunch of people under the age of 25 opening that restaurant in 2012.
It's an incredible story, it really is. Obviously, it's a testament to young people in the industry, and I think for those who are watching who might be interested to, as I said, follow in your footsteps, it's always just good to know I guess, your success story, I suppose, as well, which is cool. So, I guess the important thing is, while there's a lot of seriousness in your role and that you're upholding, obviously, the brand and the reputation of Hentley Farm, there has been a couple of people who have been interested to know about a couple of funny moments before we get tucked into these beautiful wines, obviously, that are right here in front of us, that a lot of people are pumped to obviously try. Hopefully they're airing, hopefully they're tempting you, and hopefully you almost smell the aroma from where you are, but a little bit of perfect temperature. I guess what I want to try and find out is, I guess, from you, what's a funny moment? What's something that you kind of gone, yes, this is something that really stands out to me? Slightly naughty, perhaps. I don't know. You tell me.
We'll keep them PC.
Yeah.
I guess for me, there's certain dishes over the time at Hentley Farm where there's a lot of different chefs that have worked here, and they've run the similar section. All the chefs out there watching will know this. They've run the similar grill section where they need to poach and slice this squid to order. And everyone knows the squid dish that we had variations of, and it was a bit of a technical nightmare at times until you kind of had it down. So I think I was the first person here that did it and championed it as like, I'm the best ever, I can do this, I set the bar of the skill.
Yeah. And
then the other guys started learning it, and I continued to criticise them all about it. It's not good enough, it's not thin enough, it's too sticky, or it's this and that. But I wasn't in practice anymore, but I was still critically in practice. Then some members come in to dine one night, and they were staying at Andrew and Sky's place, Camborne, up on the hill. And they said, oh, tomorrow night we've got someone else coming, they really want to try the squid dish, they really just want to have it at home with a glass of wine. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll come up, and I sharpened all the knives, I've got my whites on, and they had some champagne, and I've got the Relay Shadow pin on, and I'm looking, perfect for it. And they poured me like 30 mils of champagne, and I went, oh, thank you so much, slush, taste. And then just proceeded to take the entire end of my finger off with all this like stunning setup, squid, looking beautiful.
How much of your
sashimi knives? All the nail. Yeah, it came back.
What, it grew back?
Yeah, it grew back. Yeah,
is that so ludicrous?
Aren't we weird? Yes, it grew back after some time. Yes, but then I had to sort of come back to a room full of chefs that night and then kind of give me the, what happened to you?
Right.
It's like, well, that thing I criticise you all on every single day really harshly, well,
It kind
I
of
can't do it. I can't do it
comes-
anymore.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you.
I haven't done it since. I haven't sliced that squid since, I don't think.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
avoid
just
me.
quickly, this is the one with the exo sauce, and this is the Lux, and I'm sure the people who've come to the farm before, have tried that before and the likes thereof. We have a couple of things here, and I know you're toasting out there, I suppose, as well. But when we get into this, we're going to start cracking into these wines now as well. And you have some stunning mushrooms that you're going to prepare for us in front of the fire. I guess you could do this at home. Could you do it at home?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's mushroom season right now. Everyone I talk to that isn't within the industry is still scared of these. It's 2020, guys. Come on, they're not scary at all.
Yeah. They're just to confirm, they're definitely not the magic variety.
They are not at all. They're not very different, Nick.
Yep.
I got a feeling you know that they're not.
Wouldn't know. But these they're very bright. So I think that the whole system is, from what I understand, is that obviously if they're bright, or crazy looking or whatever it is, don't touch them. They're poisonous. These look pretty bright to me. So
Yeah, they do. I guess they're the forager's exception.
Right.
Bright orange can look quite scary.
Yeah.
But this is a pine mushroom.
Yeah.
I think if you see if you've gone with somebody, you've gone with a chef once and they've taught you, there's not really much going wrong with this mushroom. It's
Yeah.
when you get into some of the other varieties that can morph and all look a bit the same.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, pine mushrooms are very easy to find, and South Australia is very ripe for them.
Cool.
I just have a pan in the fire that I will drop mushrooms into as you please keep going.
No, but while Lachlan's obviously getting involved, with all things mushrooms over here, having a little foraging lesson as well, which is very good. We have the 2 vintages in the tasting pack, and we want to say a big thank you, obviously, to all those who decided to grab one for the experience that we're obviously engaging in over the next few weeks. You hear that sizzling away in the background, which is awesome. We have also, there was a little gift that you put in there as well, which is also on the other side over here, which was a recipe from the kitchen. These beautiful bickies that obviously all instructions and the likes thereof, which I'm hoping you have as well. And these are going to pair obviously for each of these different wines we're going to showcase today as well. So the 2 vintages that you should have in front of you, and I'm just checking obviously on the question side of things at this particular point in time before we get stuck in. I know that we're going to do a sharp fire question round at the end. I haven't told you this just yet, but there's quite a few in my black book. We do have a question.
Sharp fire?
Yeah, it's going to be intense.
Oh, cool.
We have a question, Angus.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got a number of questions coming in, guys. We are competing against the mushroom mix over there. But while we're talking about the mushrooms, there's a question, were they foraged, the mushrooms, by yourself?
Yes, they were. They were foraged, actually foraged by our apprentice, Carmen. Hopefully you're watching, Carmen. You said to me you wouldn't be, but that's okay. They were foraged by Carmen in Mount Crawford. So Mount Crawford's kind of our spot because it's the closest to us.
Excellent. And just before we get into the wines, one last question here before we move on and answer some of the other questions later. From Alan McGregor, what's your all-time favourite dish that you've made at Hentley Farm?
Great question.
I think the squid dish that I was talking about earlier, because it was a dish that I didn't rip from another restaurant, but when I was a very young chef, I dined at King in Sydney, just by myself, probably not with enough money, and ate this squid noodle, and it was probably what then set me into the next part of my career of going, I need to be able to do that sort of thing. So I'm going to say squid dish.
Very good. That's awesome. So what we're going to do also is, so we're going to launch into Stray Mongrel now. I guess the idea that I want to discuss with this particular wine, many of you have tried Stray Mongrel at some stage before. It is obviously one of our most awarded wines throughout our portfolio. I believe this one just picked up its 9th trophy, so as a wine overall, we're looking at a pretty popular example. But we do have the 2 vintages right next to each other. So we have the 2015, which we're going to try first, and then we're obviously going to go on to the 2018, which is the current release, which literally just got released a couple of weeks ago. So if you haven't got that just yet, I'm hearing that sizzle. It's very tempting. But it just got released a couple of weeks ago. So if you haven't grabbed it just yet, obviously speak to your person, and then they will be able to sort you out, of course. But the Stray Mongrel, just in its essence, I spoke to Quinny about this actually, and I said, well, what do you love most about the Stray specifically? And we're looking at the alternative varietal that we have here on our side. Of course, that alternative varietal is Zinfandel. We have a beautiful pure expression of that particular wine too. So if you haven't tried that, that's a goodie to try. But I guess when we're looking at the blend breakdown of this particular wine, the the Zinfandel itself really adds this kind of very, very subtle dimension, I suppose, to allow the Grenache and the Shiraz to really shine through in its essence, I guess. So the great part about this particular wine is the extended maceration on the skin, which is a technique which Andrew really lovingly uses, and obviously depending on which vintage it is, we'll dial it up or down accordingly. But when we have a look at the wine just in its essence, it's anywhere between 50 to 100 days on skins, which is almost 5 times the recommended amount, I suppose. But what that does is obviously allows it to smooth out that cap, which you obviously see during the fermentation process, sinking through to give this beautiful, elegant, refined sort of style, which makes this such an easy drinking, such approachable wine in its youth, and obviously such a great wine as it continues to age as well. So when we pick up the 15, and I will cheers you, of course, Lachlan as well. Cheers to you.
Well, mine 15 and 18.
Yeah, 15 and 18 it is. 15 first, always 15. First, cheers to you. When we have a look at the 15, it's drinking very well indeed. And for those who love their points out there, and I guess there are a couple out there, this was a 96-point raider back in the day. But this was also the year that Hentley Farm got Wine of the Year as well. So it was a really exciting year, I think, right across the board. But when we have a look at something like this, how it's developing at the moment, and actually just pick up the 18 as well, just next to each other. I'm going to have a little sip of this first.
The fire warming the glasses makes it better.
It is. This is a very romantic
As the
setting,
romance,
I've got to say.
yeah, romance factor.
But as you pick this one up, go get the aroma on this one, then go to the 18 straight away. We'll come back obviously to the 15. But you see so much more perfume and vibrancy obviously coming out, and youthful profiles obviously in the 18 versus these almost metwursty kind of spicy sort of, it's almost this really dried sort of more cherry sort of characters coming through, which I love so much about this. But the vintages are pretty much chalk and cheese as far as they kind of go. 15 was really, speaking to Quiddy actually, and he said he was out in the vineyard for four or 5 days of 22-hour plus days. Like he was literally just out there because it ripened so quickly. Versus the 18 where it was slow and elongated and really, you could pretty much set your watch to when it was going to ripen. So a lot of really intense sort of flavours, and you notice this on the palate pretty much straight away versus the 18, which we're obviously going to go to in a quick second. But I guess we wanted to, and you specifically, we spoke about wines that you love pairing with, and you thought we're going to forage some mushrooms, obviously, because they're in season.
Yep.
But also they go incredibly well with the Stray. But what are your thoughts on the mushrooms specifically, other than them obviously being in season, from a pairability perspective, I guess, from your mind?
It's generally in mushrooms, it's the umaminess that I think works with wine, and generally with red wines, particularly blends, that umaminess is the sort of, from a chef point of view, you kind of try to find that and then get the rest of the flavours in there.
Yeah.
So it might not be the flavours so much of pine mushroom that you're actually looking for, because I would say that sort of, if we made pine oil and had that with this, it would probably be horrible.
Right.
So it's not the pine in the pine mushroom that you're looking for, it's the sort of umaminess.
It's that earthy note, right?
Yeah, but if we ate them raw, because of the style, they would probably be quite bitter and not really worked. But then cooked, here's some I prepared noisily earlier.
We did. We really. Oh, thank you, my friend. So just go in.
Yeah, let me.
Oh, you got the last little whisper on the end.
Whispers, yeah.
So for those of you who are viewing, obviously we're with executive chef Lachlan Colwill. We're just about to try a pine mushroom.
I touched it.
Okay. Social
These
distancing.
are your fault.
Okay. Many thanks. So we're gonna have a crack at this. I'm kind of concerned, obviously, for there, but there you go.
It might be hot.
They are. Oh, they're as hot as a fire. My mouth is very hot. They're delicious. Oh my god.
It has a sort of popcorn flavour or something.
It does. Straight out of fire. Be careful when you do this. That was so good though. The butteriness.
See how it's meat? It doesn't necessarily taste like mushroom. It tastes like.
I love it.
It makes you salivate.
It does. And in conjunction, I love that we've done this as well. Straight in the fire, because you can do this absolutely. How many people have a fire at home? Just do this. Press your friends.
There's the one I just threw in.
But you love doing this sort of style cooking as well. You're about the fire.
I do, yes.
Those that come to the restaurant, of course, as well. You got your cool little pumpkin out the side. But we also do have a question over here as well.
Yeah, so I guess before we get into a question, there's a bit of love that's being thrown around, especially from our old mate Oliver Parrish. Sorry, Oliver Parrish.
Oliver.
Yeah, so he's throwing a bit of
I
love
hope you will.
not only for the Stray Mongrel, one of the favourite wines, but also he said absolutely loves pine mushrooms.
Yeah,
And
hospo crew knows it.
it's such a shame that the season started right when restaurants were beginning to close as well. So,
Start pickling, Oliver. That's what we've been doing, just picking and pickling.
And also, definitely, we've also got, as you were mentioning before, we do actually have Carmen and Alana both watching.
Oh, Carmen! I'm so sorry.
And
I
not
hope you didn't hear before.
and not only that, we also have Louise Journet, who's a cellar door manager,
Hi,
watching
Louise.
in, as well as Danny Galanti as well.
Oh, Danny, yes.
Very
Did you
good.
work with Danny?
I did. Yeah,
yes.
absolutely. So after this, I'll be honest. There was
I
a little
don't.
bit of burn in the mouth.
There was burn on my fingers
But do
too.
you know the beautiful thing is that when we've done this so rawly, the aftertaste that is continuing on is just outrageous. I mean,
It
there's
is.
just so, and it is that umami sort of type
Yeah.
flavour. Really beautifully paired with this, I've got to say. So, with the 15, I suppose, we're looking, at a completely different wine versus the 18. As I said, it's just bold and intense, and there's this voluptuous nature. But then we go obviously into the 2018, which I encourage you to have a little try of course, as well. And we've chosen these kind of chocolate fudge brown biscuits that are just absolutely delicious. That a couple of people are possibly eating, hopefully at the moment there as well, which is awesome. But
Yes.
thoughts on this, I guess, as an option.
The chocolate and the wine?
Yeah.
I haven't had these two together, so this is
perfect.
is this going to work, Nick?
Mm.
And if it doesn't, we just say, that was...
No,
No, we don't.
Well,
We be honest, because that's what we
well, I
like.
think this works. So I guess the idea with this is, with these youthful sort of vibrant profiles that we're looking at in this, we're getting these kind of toffee apple notes, much more of that sort of ripe red cherry profiles, blue fruited at points there as well with this kind of raspberry spice, which I absolutely love. When we have a look at these together, and trying it obviously on its own, the sweetness of this is going to be interesting because it is also, there's these bitter chocolate profiles, which I quite like as well. Eating a biscuit, why not? Let's do this. Yeah, but there's that bitter chocolate there, which I love. So it should actually, in effect, bling out, there you go, that's where I'm at. Bring out their flavour profiles, obviously these cacao sort of notes that we're looking in through there.
That wasn't a fake expression, that did bring
No,
it out.
but it's also, it almost brings out these kind of, what would you call, blackcurranty sort of notes in it as well, which I think is really cool too. So, certainly want to put it out to you guys, of course, out there as well. If you are drinking along, or if you've got any questions specifically about these particular wines, I definitely want to hear what your thoughts are on these. But to see these so different side by side, to see how the evolution of these particular wines are going, from a culinary perspective, as you were kind of talking about before, the Grenache is sort of one of your favourites. I think when we have a look at it like this, it's just so nicely paired in the simplicity, I suppose, of a single mushroom and a chocolate biscuit.
Yeah.
Cool. So, I
Very
think we're going to do these. This is important. I've got my black.
Oh, what is this?
Okay, quick fire questions.
Wow, you really prepared this time, Nick.
This time. Always, mate.
I wish I was
Always.
the first. So this is quick fire questions.
Straight into it. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Start the clock. What is your favourite dish to cook at home when you're feeling lazy?
Vegan mac and cheese.
Okay. If you could pick a new varietal or style of wine from the restaurant, what would you go with?
Pinot Sherry.
Okay. What's your favourite wine to pair with food?
Pinot Sherry. No. I would say Hentley Farm Grenache. It is. It's worked very well for us.
Fair. What's your favourite seasonal ingredient that you really look forward to cook with every year?
Oh, not so much cook with, but mulberries.
Mulberries?
Yeah. Well, we do cook with them, but I just eating them off the tree.
I was really sure you were going to go with pine mushrooms then. But
Oh,
anyway,
yes.
this is a quick fire round, I'm sorry. What do you do when you aren't chefing?
I play guitar and walk around Hentley Farm.
Stop the clock. This is really important actually because you are a musician on the side, yes?
I wouldn't say musician, I would say
I'd
I
say
like
musician.
music a lot on the side.
So can we expect a post-COVID album coming out from yourself?
I managed to write 3 songs for my cats. They have a band called Gremlin King, so I wrote 3 Gremlin King songs.
Gremlin Kings.
Yeah, Gremlin King.
That's good. Okay.
I came up with 3,
Yep.
but then I stopped there. And I tried actually putting some lyrics over it last night because I had some time to myself.
Okay.
But it's just hard to be in the zone of Gremlin King, you know?
Yeah, well, actually, you know what? Start the clock again because this is actually working out really well. First question, are you well? The second one is, has Ratty fully recovered? And would you consider more wasabi and chili?
Alright, there's a triple. Ratty has fully recovered from his now 3rd snake attack on the farm.
Do you want to tell everyone who Ratty is?
Ratty is my cat. Ratty is my cat. I have 2 cats, Ratty and Steve.
Very good.
One is adopted. Anyway,
And Steve. I love it.
yeah, Ratty and Steve. What was the second question? Is it still quickfire?
It still is. We're kind of slowing and starting,
Right.
so this is how it is. And has Ratty fully recovered?
Yes.
Are you well?
Yes, I'm well.
Okay, good. And then the other one is, would you consider using more wasabi and chili?
I really like wasabi and chili. That's hard because they're polarizing. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
whoa,
I would,
you
but
said
I would
you've
dull
had
them
here.
down to be less polarizing, so maybe I won't be using enough.
Next question. How do you keep your whites so white?
These whites?
Any?
I don't know. People wash them for me.
Fair enough. Fair
And
enough.
keep them good. Someone must use bleach.
Okay, fair. I dare say they do. What inspired you to grow out your hair?
Brad Pitt, World War Z.
A little Rocky Balboa there.
Yeah, Rocky Balboa,
Just
yeah.
said it. Do you like travelling?
I do like travelling. Sometimes I get a bit of a funny travelling depression, but I do like travelling.
Okay, interesting.
Yes.
Okay, good.
You know when you just feel like it's a little bit
Too much?
and it's a bit wrong?
Fair enough.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
It's a bit of a privilege.
Those were the quickfire round, guys. Thank you, Lachlan. We have another question that's come out from the interwebs.
Yes.
Let's say that. Question, Angus.
Absolutely. So we do have a comment here from Denise Milne, sitting here with 2 friends, enjoying the wines, enjoying the 2015 more than the younger vintage, the 2018, but we still have some 2011 Stray Mongrel.
Ooh.
When should we drink it?
2011. So the idea, I guess, with Stray Mongrel as a wine generally, is that Quinny made this to ultimately drink young, right? It's a blend. It's an easy drinker. But I guess when we're looking at ultimate drinking window, within 5 years, I think is really where you're sort of looking at it. So I think from where you are, you'd be probably moving into that next zone. However, I'm going to say as a caveat on that, we did drink one of the very, very early Stray Mongrels just recently, before we all had to go, we were obviously working
What
from
vintage
home.
was it?
I think it was the 04 or 05.
Wow.
It was drinking absolutely on the money. But I would be saying drink it up at some point in the next. Do you know what? Drink it on the weekend. That's what I do.
Yeah. I had a lot of 11s because when I first started here, that was my favourite wine. We had a bit of a wine allowance, and I went, give me all of these. And I drank them around 2017, 18.
Okay.
And I'm done them. I've finished them off.
I
so
drink it this weekend.
let us know how it was.
Yeah, please do.
I ruined my chance.
Question.
So we've got a couple of quick fire questions, but before that, a quick comment from Jeremy Keisman. Steamer to Horst, dark chocolate. Easter eggs are absolutely beautiful with the 2018, a match made in heaven.
Yes.
Mari
Yeah,
Wright
yeah,
said
all
she
that
better look at their 2009s and open those up. But 2 quick fire questions for you, Lachlan. The first one is, what's your favourite Hentley Farm wine?
The old legend Grenache. by far.
Excellent.
Yep.
And if you were a pirate, what would be the food and wine you would take on a tour?
If I was a pirate.
Wow.
Oh, if I was a pirate.
What food and wine would you take on a tour?
Quick fire.
Poisonous food and wine. So I could poison everyone and pirate whatever I wanted.
I like it. Creativity.
Yes.
We've heard it here. And speaking of creativity, this is a perfect end to the burning question that I wanted to know for the entire time, because these rumours are going around.
Thanks, Nick. It was great seeing
Can't be done. Can't be done. Pinning you down. There is going to be a new Hentley Farm on the other side of COVID-19.
There is.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that looks like?
I can.
Please do go on.
Thanks for the heads up, Nick.
No, sorry. I'm so curious.
Okay, so
Okay.
come June 8th,
Yes.
we would like, well, we are going to,
Mhm.
reopen the barn side of the restaurant
Okay.
as a very different approach for us, sort of casualise it, let people come into that space and do more tastings and get deeper into the wine, but match it with food as we go. So almost similar like to what we did here. People could be tasting away, having their tasting on a beautiful sunny day like it was today. There's a chef rocking around selling you a couple of little mushrooms from the fire, or he's shucking you some oysters or slicing some meats. So it's the same Hentley Farm sort of feeling of chefs being in the room and people looking after you, and you get access to the wines, but we'll be in there giving you little snacks and bits of meat as you go. And that will remain and give us time to continue to retweak and relaunch or completely scrap and rebuild the atrium side of the restaurant, which I will keep it a little bit fluid, but I think at this stage we're keeping it around August 1st. First. So the atrium side will around August 1st-ish. Side of the restaurant will open, but that will be the only area where you'll get the kind of fine dining element of Hentley Farm. We would like to, and it's a bit of a chef's dream, I guess, we would like to minimise the amount of people that we can do every day, so we can enhance our offering, basically. We've been very lucky that we've had so many great guests and members and such good feedback. By the chefs being out in the room, we've been able to gauge all of the feedback over the years, where I think we can relaunch with what everyone has told us over the years, with our own little special tweaks on it.
So taking feedback from the people who've dined here to make a really unique experience, basically.
And Hentley Farm is a very members and family feeling business. It feels good. It feels good to have known these people for years and kind of implement a lot of conversations we've had into that dining room. So it's exciting. For those that have had funny conversations with me in the past, your dreams may be coming true. Or you may be saying, that was my bloody idea, Lachlan.
Could well be. Well, Lachlan, thank you so very much, obviously, for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you, obviously, for, I'm sorry for putting you on the spot, obviously, as well.
Good. I like it.
Thank you very much. And guys, for those who have their tasting packs and who obviously, I'm sure, are going to enjoy these this evening, please tune in for 2 weeks' time, so a fortnight, to join us for our next episode.
I was confused. I was sitting here last week just waiting for you guys to all rock up. I was confused. I told my mum and dad, if you're watching, I told my parents, watch me. I'm going so good. Watch me on
where were they?
the big screen.
Join us with our owner and founder, Keith Henschke, who's going to share with us some humble beginnings and share, obviously, some of his secrets and tricks of the trade. Always a storyteller, so it should be a great episode. Once again, Lachlan, thank you so very much. Guys, from all of us at the farm, a massive cheers from us. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers. Cheers.